What's up, YouTube fans? Today I want to take a look at the Printformers Unicron Acolyte. So this is a 3D printed action figure made by Printformers. I have looked at figures from him before. I looked at the Turtle Prime, which transformed from the Turtle van into a Prime-like figure. And we actually did get some new parts for him, so we're going to take a look at that again in the future here. But for now, we're taking a look at this guy. And we also have a mold mate for this guy, which we'll look at in another review with the Turtle Prime, but here it is. I'll just show you really quick. Foot Soldier. So stay tuned for that. But today we're going to look at this guy. Now this guy is made with kind of an experimental 3D printing feature called variable layer height, where it adds detail and changes the settings as the printing is happening. So it ends up with some really cool, smooth surfaces. And it ends up not looking 3D printed. Now I left this cover off so you could see. You can see there's a cover on this shoulder, but there's no cover on this shoulder. And you got a really nice smooth surface here. Get some nice details. And overall, it just comes out really nice looking. Now I'm not sure if he sanded any parts on this, but overall, pretty impressive what he's able to do. So this is assembled, obviously. There's pins for the joints. So those are 3D printed pins. Pretty much the whole thing is assembled with 3D printed parts. Not only the pins, but all the joints, all the parts, the head, everything. There is actually no paint on this. It's just different colored plastic. So the purple and the orange you see, and then the green for the eyes, that's all just plastic colored. For articulation, this guy is really articulated. The head is on the neck itself is on a joint. The head can rotate around, and you can get side to side out of that head. You can look up and down, which is important because you can go with Unicron, so he's got to be able to look up or down. The shoulders are on a butterfly joint like this, so they move in and out. Rotates all the way around on this joint here, and then it goes up on this disc hinge joint. Really nice. Rotation at the bicep. You have a double jointed elbow, gets you the full bend like that. The hands are not articulated, but they do rotate. You do get alternate hands, which I'll show you in just a minute. Rotation at the waist, ab crunch. So this is a ball joint down at the base of the ab. But then there's another ab crunch here. I mean, look at that. That's amazing design. And I've been telling this guy he really should be working for, moonlighting for a third party, because his design of joints is really spectacular. So you get the rotation, side to side, ab crunch, forward and back, everything you could possibly want. That's amazing. Continuing on, you have a leg kick all the way up to there just because of the way it's designed, and you can move things out of the way. Just make sure you move the abs out of the way, but back all the way out to the side. This is disc hinge as well, so it gets out to there. I am being careful. It is 3D printed, but it does feel very, very solid. It's very well built. Double jointed knee, of course, gets you the full bend, rotation at the thigh. And if you want to see the hardware here, it is a mushroom peg that it's working on. Very smart design there. You have ankle tilt all the way down, all the way up, toe tilt even, and rocker and a rotation. So pretty much every part of articulation you could possibly want out of a figure. Now for accessories, these are just whatever you end up printing from the files, but you get a bunch of alternate hands. So you get these kind of expressive open hands. Swap them out, you just pull them off the peg, just like any other action figure. I really am impressed with the tolerances on this. It's very nice and tight, but you get those. You get a gripping hand, which we need for later. I'll show you in a minute. So I'll put that into his other arm. And they fit very nicely. And the ones I took off, you get these kind of open, expressive hands there. And then you get a pointing finger like that. They all look nice and they work well. Now, the reason you need the gripping hand is because you get some weapons. So you do get swords. And again, all of this is whatever you end up printing. So he's got this kind of straight sword, this kind of angled sword. And you also get this I don't even know what this weapon's called. It's like a sai, but it's like a three-pronged sai. And all of these can fit in the hand. So he can hold that. And we'll give him 2 holding hands. Or he can hold the other one. And he even made adapters for the back. So if you take these adapters, there's this little 3D printed adapters. Like I mentioned earlier, everything is 3D printed. There's no hardware that's not 3D printed, which is really impressive to me. You can get those in there. And then there's a smaller one here that you can put on his butt. That goes right here. And now you can stow all of these weapons. It's really cool. So this can slide down into here. Oops. Like that. And you can pull one out just a little bit so you can do this. Then you can take this one and that can sit here, in there. I mean, really cool. Really cool. He also comes with, and you could print as many swords as you want, but if we switch back to this holding hand, comes with the grenades. So this was in the comic, if you remember, but you can just hold this and be pretending like he's going to chuck that grenade. Really, really nice. Lastly, you get an alternate head, and again, all of this depends on what you print, but this is kind of a yelling sort of face. Pretty cool. I'll just show you. This just comes off like a helmet, and the head is actually just on a ball joint. So I believe we can just pull this up. Yeah, it's on a ball joint. Here's what's underneath. So just to show you, that's the head. There's actually, you could change the eye color because he put a slot here. You could put a piece of paper with a different color. That's just genius. But let's put this back on. This just fits over top. And then the nose is actually a little tab. So the nose is what holds the head into the helmet, which is very cool. Just a smart design. Anyway, we'll put this one on. And again, I'm trying to be gentle because it is 3D printed after all, but very, very nice quality on this. For a quick size comparison, there he is next to the Earthrise Optimus Prime. Comes up to about a little below his head there, just to get a sense of scale. Now, I don't know what his retail line or whatever line you'd want to put this with, but I just wanted to show you with something that you could reference. And for a quick size comparison, there it is next to the HasLab Unicron. I think it looks really good. If you had a bunch of these, it would probably look even cooler. So you could recreate that comic scene. Now, I don't think Unicron looked quite like this in the comic, but either way, cool little setup here. So final recommendations on the Printformers Unicron Acolyte. And this is tough to make a call on a recommendation because you can't actually buy the figure. What you're buying is the design. You get to buy the STL files for 3D printing. But I'm going to give this a 5 out of 5. This is probably the most amazing 3D printed action figure I've handled. And obviously it can be applied to other action figures like we're going to see when I review the Foot Soldier. But I'm just really impressed. I mean, it's got such good articulation, and yet it's got good tolerances. Now, a lot of the quality is going to depend on your printer and how you go about assembling the figure. Obviously, this guy is an expert in printing and assembling. But the design is where I give it a 5 out of 5. It really is probably one of the most impressive things I've seen in terms of action figure. You know, it's just got so much articulation, really cool accessories, appropriate, of course. You know, swap out heads, swap out hands. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you see with, you know, premium action figures that you can buy. So definitely recommend it. If you have a 3D printer, it's only $12 to buy the STL files. I mean, that is just phenomenal. It's a great design. It's well worth the price. If I had a 3D printer, I'd be printing stuff like this. But that's it for today. Thanks to Printformers for sending this for review. I really appreciate being able to look at stuff like this. We have more coming, so stay tuned for another review from Printformers. That's it for today, and we'll see you next time.